Hello, this is Dr. Linda Davis, and today I want to work through an Excel table and graph, and this one's going to be a miles per gallon analysis featuring a bar graph. So let me bring up Excel. I'm going to change my view so it shows up better on your screen, and I'm going to start this problem in B3. And for my students, we always use Warrior Citrus for our theme throughout the semester, and so my second line is going to be fleet MPG analysis. And the time range, let's do 12:3 to 12:7 will work. It's like a Monday through Friday kind of week of 2012. Now, because third line, remember, is always your time range. So I'm comparing 4 different vehicles. I want to see what their miles per gallon is, and I want to see which vehicle has the best miles per gallon. So I'm going to have a column for vehicle name, and a column for miles, and a column for gallons, and a column for miles per gallon. Now, the vehicles, those are given in the problem. I use proper names in class for actual commercial vehicles, but I'm just going to call them truck 1 and truck 2. And of course, using Excel's shortcut here, I can highlight both of those. Excel will notice the pattern of what I've got going on here, and I can drag this down with the skinny plus and get the other truck numbers there too. Now, miles, this is a given thing in the problem. So miles traveled for truck 1 was 203 miles for that week, and gallons used was 10. Truck 2, miles of 467. Gallons used was 21. Truck 3 was miles traveled was 358, and gallons used was 15. And truck 4 is 649 miles and 29 gallons used. Okay, now when you observe these values, you can't immediately detect which one might have the best miles per gallon. Now, what is considered best miles per gallon? Is it going to be the lowest MPG amount or the highest MPG amount? Well, actually, you want the highest value for MPG, which means you're getting the most miles out of each gallon of gas. So let's do a calculation here that calculates miles per gallon, MPG. All right. So for Excel, obviously it has to see the equal sign when when you want it to calculate. Now, MPG is pretty much set up like you need to create the mathematical equation that goes with this. So miles per gallon for the calculation. Obviously, M is for miles. And for this first row, for truck 1, what cell do you find miles in? Well, miles is located in cell C7. So I'll put C7 in there. Now, P is for per. Per means to divide. So you put your slash in there to let Excel know you want to divide. And then G is for gallons, obviously, for this in this case. So G is for gallons, and that cell for truck 1 is found in D7. So we have our formula there. We can hit enter to activate the formula. You should get 20.3 miles per gallon. Now, because Excel helps you along with this, you don't have to keep writing the formulas in. You can just get the skinny plus at the bottom corner and pull down. And that applies that same formula to these other values. Now, obviously, we got more decimals than we probably need, but we'll rectify that in just a little bit. I also want to put a total row down at the bottom. So we'll just put for totals. And when I say total, it means to sum up something, to use the sum function. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to just sum up the miles traveled. So I'm going to do sum equals sum parenthesis. And then obviously we start in C7. So I'm going to put my range of cells I want to add. So it's C7 all the way to C10. So C7 colon C10 is the range of cells, followed by your end of parentheses. Now once you get that in, you can hit enter to activate it. You should get 1,677. Now, I want to also add up the gallons, and I can use that same formula just by getting the skinny plus on that bottom corner of that particular cell that has the calculation in it and pulling it across. Now, this doesn't make any sense to add up the miles per gallon column. However, you can, if you wanted to average, just kind of use that miles per gallon calculation to apply it to that divided by that, and that would kind of give you like an average miles per gallon for the fleet. Okay, now numbers are in. We need to format a lot of this, so miles, we'll start at the very top and work our way over. Warrior Citrus, highlight across columns since now you know how many columns you've got to work with, and then obviously go back to the home tab and we'll do merge and center. While we're here, we can also make it Bookman old style, which is what I require of my students. There it is, and that's bold, and it for the table should be 18. Now, next line, we do not change the font or size, we just merge and center it. So highlight that row across columns and merge and center. Same thing for the next one down. Okay, now at this point we need to put a border around the column headings and what follows. So the border tool is in the Home tab. Go to the font area and you'll see borders here. The first main border is the thick box border. So select that. Then I want to put some sub borders in. So I'm going to highlight the column headings and I'm going to put a bottom border in there so it separates the column headings from the regular data. I also want to put a sub border in between the last piece of regular data and any total or analysis data. So I'm going to highlight that row and I'm going to put another bottom border there. So when I step away from it, I've got a little border there, a little border there, and a main border around the column headings and everything that comes after that. All right, let's do some shading of the column headings. Highlight the column headings and just go to your fill color on your Home tab and just a nice soft shade of gray. Even works in monochrome printer situations there. And also got to format some things still. My values, miles and gallons, miles and gallons. Well, I've got one value here that's over 999, so it does need the thousand separator. So let me go up on my Home tab to number, and these are just numbers. It's not currency. It's not a percentage or anything. So number, and in the problem I specify whole number, so that's 0 decimal places there, and I do need in this case the thousand separator, which is just a little comma, so it'll be better for 1677 that you see down here. Okay. Any chance of a negative number, you may want to pick the format your company prefers to use. All right, now what we want to do here is work with our column headings. Their alignments are a bit off. Vehicle's okay because it hugs the left side like like the text underneath it does. However, miles hugs the left, the numbers underneath hug the right, so it needs to catch up with its numbers. So align text right. Gallons has numbers underneath it as well, so it needs to align text right, and MPG needs to align text right. Now, also, these MPG values, like I said, I don't really need all these decimal places showing. So a couple ways I can do it, but I'll just go up to in the Home tab, the number ribbon, click on the little arrow there, and just say, yes, it's numbers, decimal places. Well, I do want 2, so I'll leave the 2 there. I do not need the thousand separator though. So okay. So it gets everything very consistent looking. So these values are kind of close. So which one's the winner? Well, we said earlier we want the best MPG, which is the value with the biggest value here. And they're quite close, but actually truck 3 shows that 23.87 has the highest MPG, which means we get the most miles out of 1 gallon of gas. So we'll highlight that one, we'll shade it. It just makes it easier for your audience to zone in on the correct answer there. And sometimes maybe it's the opposite thing. Maybe you're looking for which vehicle has the lowest MPG, because that obviously costs you money. Less miles per gallon. So at this point I want to go back to my regular, 100% view here. And what I'm going to do is center this table on the screen and get ready to put a chart underneath it. So I'm going to take my mouse and click on the A in column A, hold Control down on your keyboard, CTRL, and go to the next available blank column, which is F in this case, and then let go of Control. And then I'm going to go back between A and B and just widen column A. And notice column F is doing the same thing that column A is doing. And until I get A through F totally on the screen. And that's our trick for getting the table centered on the screen. So that's good. Now, I want to start selecting the data that I need from the table to build a graph with. So in this case, I'm going to select just the 4 truck names and then hold Control down again and highlight the 4 MPG amounts that go with them. Now, release Control and go into Insert. We're going to do bar this time. So a 2D bar graph is fine. It kicks it out nicely for you here, but we do have some formatting to do. So I'm going to leave a couple of blank rows in between the table and the graph. And then I'm going to go over here and scroll down to where all I see in the top left corner is just the graph, because I need to work on the graph for a bit. And I'm going to enlarge the graph by grabbing the bottom corner, hold my mouse button down and just drag it to where it fills the screen. Go close to the edge, but don't touch the edge. It tends to zoom out too far if you do. And I don't so much worry about the going too deep with it. Just out here is fine. Now, we've got some formatting to do, obviously, so I'm going to get rid of the grid lines first. Just click on any grid line and then hit delete on your keyboard. Also, I'm going to change the whole font size to like 20. See it better. I really don't need a legend this time, so I'm just going to delete the legend out. And I notice I've got on the horizontal axis like dot 0.00. I don't really need that every time, so what I can do is double click on any horizontal axis value there. Now this first screen will kind of like buffalo you. Don't worry about this first screen. Instead, you want to go to the number selection here. So click on number. Decimal places. I don't need 2 showing. I just need 0 showing. Whole numbers, please. And we'll not need the thousand separator here. So just close it out. Notice it changes it down here to just the whole numbers. Now I also want to put a chart title. So go up to Chart Tools, go to Layout, and click on Chart Title. I like to pick the one that says Above Chart, and it just pushes everything down. And you can put in your company name, format it, of course, in a minute. And then the date range, we said 12/3 to, I think it was 12/7 of 2012. And then Warrior Citrus, I'll format that. It's going to be, again, Bookman. Find it again. And it's going to be 16 on the graph. Obviously, I don't need the date range that huge, so I'm going to just keep it at a regular font and just take it back maybe to 14 and take the bold off. Okay. Now, I also need an axis title for the horizontal because you don't really know what these values are. You should have an axis title in there that says miles per gallon. So I can go back up to Layout under Chart Tools and select Axis Titles, and you want the primary horizontal axis title this time, horizontal. Title below axis is fine. Just pops your little text box in there, and obviously this needs to be miles per gallon. And another thing I like to do is work with the bars and change the color of the bars, actually put values in or outside each bar. So go to Data Labels. Under, again, Chart Tools, Layout, go to Data Labels, select outside ends is fine, and that puts the actual MPG amounts at the end of each one, so that makes it very clear and obviously very visual for which vehicle gets the best miles per gallon. Now if I want to change the colors of the columns, or bars I should say, I can isolate by just clicking once and then clicking one more time on the one I want. It isolates it. You can tell it's just got the little 4 dots around it, and we can go up to just Home and fill color and just pick whatever color you want. Go to each one, change the color, and I will, let's see, I think I'll do black on that one. Okay, there we go. You can also, if you're running out of room and it's pushing into the edge, you can always set these data labels inside the bars as well. Okay, now at this point, my students know to put their little text box in the bottom. We can just insert a text box. It puts their name and class there. So, takes care of that. And of course, you can add text boxes if you need to point out something. Like maybe you have a text box that says Truck 3 has the best MPG and have an arrow pointing to it. Obviously, this is pretty self-explanatory, I think, here. And also, let's go through how to print a graph, a table and graph together. Now, first thing, you must click outside the table and outside the graph. You can't be inside any of this, okay? So you're outside here, and then in some cell with nothing in it, and then you want to go to File and Print. Now you got to make some changes here, because right now if you look at the preview, it's cutting your graph off, it's cutting part of your table off. And all you really need to do is go down to the bottom here where it says No Scaling. And you have an option here to fit sheet on one page. And when you click on that, it makes the table and graph fit. Now there's the old way of doing it. We would go to Page Setup, and we would say fit to one page. Some of you may remember that particular trick. So button it in there, fit to one page. Well, when we did the other, it made it work here too. So obviously you can change it to landscape if you wanted to. We can just kind of take a look at that, and if you like that better, that's fine. But either way, that'll work for printing. Okay, so like I said, if I want it back to portrait, I'll just click it back on portrait. Okay, all right. Now at this point, you would just pick your printer and hit print, and off you go. Okay, hope that helps. Thank you for your time.